Hi everyone. In this tutorial I'm going to do a basic introduction to HTML and web page structure. Kind of go over the basics of it. I'm using Dreamweaver right now, and one of the things, if you guys want to use the same settings that I have or the interface, I have it set up to developer right here on the right hand side, developer. And one of the things I like to do before I even start any of my projects, um, I already have created a site folder right about here. In an earlier tutorial that you guys can look for is how to create folder structure for websites. And inside that folder, basically you're going to find a demo and two folders inside of it. And my goal is basically let Dreamweaver find this demo one folder. That way I can actually see it on my file window here. So one of the ways that I'm going to do that is basically I'm going to go into Site, New Site, and I'm going to let Dreamweaver locate that specific folder. Now the site name here, I'm just going to name it Demo 1. Now this doesn't have to be, it's not cap sensitive or anything like that. This could be the name of your client, the name of the project. Here you're going to see that local site folder. I'm just going to click on my folder and I'm going to go straight to my desktop. Inside of there you're going to see my demo under sites, demo 1. Select that root directory, select folder, and hit save. About there you're going to see all your folders for that specific project that you're going to be working on. Is going to be on the left hand side. So let's create a basic HTML document. I'm just going to go to File, New, or you can hit Control N. It's the shortcut to create a new document. This window is going to pop up and it's going to ask you the type of file that you want to be using. I'm just going to be using an HTML document. It's going to ask you for the title of your document. The Doctype, we're going to be using the newest HTML5. In there you're going to have here some older versions. We're going to go with the newest version of HTML. It says attach CSS. We don't have a CSS yet, but we're going to talk about that later on in another tutorial. So I'm just going to hit create, and right in there you're going to notice we have a Doctype on the top. Also, Dreamweaver has a lot of helpful little tips that will pop up while you start developing your site here. So it's very helpful little tools that I recommend you guys kind of go over. And if you want to get more familiar with Dreamweaver, take a look at those little guys in there. I'm just going to close this for a little bit, kind of go over some of the things that what this means. This Doctype basically what it tells the browser is the type of document that we're using. We're using an HTML document. And basically a HTML document is structured by creating what we call HTML tags, and it creates what we call an opening and a closing tag here. So if you notice, it starts with an opening tag and a closing tag. The difference between both of them is this /. This is what identify the closing tag. Within the HTML tags, there are some important tags that are very helpful to us. Is this head tag. Basically inside the head tag, basically there's something called meta tags or character sets that we're going to cover some of that in another tutorial. But there's this thing called the title, and it says untitled document, and it's this basically what I mentioned at the beginning when I created that new document. It said untitled document, and basically this is what it is. And let's name something here, and I'm just going to name it demo 1, and I'm going to put here my first HTML page. Right, so basically what this is going to be displayed is it's going to be displayed on the top of your browser. So what in the world I'm talking about? So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to save my document. And one of the cool features that any Adobe product has is this little asterisk right here. That asterisk means that you have done some editing in your document. So basically you need to save your file. It's kind of like a warning sign that there has been change within the page. So anytime you see that asterisk, that means that something new has been done on the page. So it's kind of like, letting you know that you need to save or, take action from it. I normally save because I'm afraid I'm going to lose my files or whatever I've done. So I'm just going to save my first file to file save as, and I'm going to name this, and you see how Dreamweaver already knows where to save my file into that directory. And I'm going to name this index.html. Okay, that will be the name of your first page whenever you're creating a website. Is the index. Index is basically kind of like your index finger that allows you to point. So when you're developing websites, we're pointing to a specific directories, or pointing to the next page, or linking to a specific location. So that's why kind of like the index HTML is kind of like the default name for a page, because a directory there's pointing to a specific place. So I'm gonna hit save. You're gonna notice that there is an index HTML. Now don't get it confused by this title. The title is one thing. This is the title page, and this is the name of your file, your index HTML. So where in the world this little guy will be displayed? All right, very simple. If you go down here at the bottom right hand side of Dreamweaver, you're going to see this little preview button. You go over here, it's going to show you your default browsers. I'm going to select Google Chrome by default, and basically it's going to pop up my Google Chrome, and it's going to show me my HTML page in action. And you're going to notice in here that it says demo1, my first HTML page. Now, one of the things I like to do when I start developing websites is basically I like to minimize my windows here, and just, of course, if you have a dual monitor, this works very, very well. So I have I'm working here with a laptop, and just trying to make sure that you don't have to be as specific like me here, but I'm just trying to put this in the right place. So basically any change that I do here on the left hand side of my HTML code automatically will render, and I will see the changes automatically in my browser. Now this is kind of small for me, so I'm gonna kind of minimize or collapse my window here so I can have enough room to work with. So if you notice any change that I do within my HTML here, I can put, I don't know, a little dash here, and I can put my name. I'm just gonna put here Leslie. I'm gonna save my document, and if you notice over here in the top, you start to see my my title, my page, or I can remove something here so you guys can see my name. I'm just gonna cut it. Control X is to cut. I'm gonna save my file, and there it is, only Leslie. Automatically kind of renders that into the browser. So let me put that back. Get rid of this so that we can keep our little title up there, demo1, my first HTML document. Now anything between the body tag is basically what you see here inside the browser. And I'm just going to type something very quickly here. I'm going to put here hello world, and I'm going to save my document, and automatically you will see here hello world. Hello world, just to give you a little history, what that means is basically the first words that were typed when the World Wide Web went live. So a little history. This word kind of like the words that they type to the world when we came to live. So basically from that, I'm going to jump into some basic HTML tag elements that we can utilize to start stylizing our page. And let's say, for example, after hello world, I would like to create a new sentence. I'm going to put here, this is my new sentence. Now if you notice that by default, just by me clicking on my HTML, and creating into a new row, that doesn't mean that it's going to be applied into your browser, because we need to tell it a specific thing, a specific tag that basically is going to identify it as a single space or break that we call it on the web. So in order to do that, what I like to do is I like to do what we call an open bracket / br for break. And if I save my document, you're going to notice, actually, let me remove that br, the / and it's just going to say br. And right in there, you're going to notice that that kind of makes a new sentence or a new break for that specific sentence. One of the things I'm going to show you also, and is one thing that I like to do, is how to create comments, and are very helpful basically, so that way you don't have to be writing notes, and you can actually write your notes within your comments. And this is very helpful when you're working in a team environment. Basically, if you have some issues and you're working with multiple people on a website, and you can leave some notes where you're having some difficulties, and someone can come and read that data. So one of the ways that you can do a comment is if you do the exclamation dash 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 dash, I'm sorry, open bracket exclamation dash 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 dash. You got to make sure you have those 4 dashes in there, and in between the dashes, that's where you can put a comment. And my comment for that, or my notes for this, is how I'm going to identify a break for this break tag. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in there, and I'm going to put puts a single break in the middle of a paragraph, list item, etc. So basically that will be kind of like a definition for that BR. All right, let's move on for another type of tag that we use, and that's the P for paragraph. Okay, so let me write here some comments so that way you guys can see and get used to start typing comments as well, because it's very helpful at the end. When you start developing sites, you're gonna find out that they're gonna become very useful. So basically, P defines paragraph in the document, usually paragraphs, right in there. So now in between my paragraph, between my opening and closing paragraph, I can write whatever might be the case. This is my new paragraph. And if you notice, I get a double space within that paragraph. Later on, we're going to talk about styling and how we can make different spaces between content and stuff like that, but that I will cover that later on in another tutorial. Now, some other basic HTML tags that we'd utilize is something that's called a HR. If you notice, when I create HR, I create this little line into it. And basically what it is it creates a horizontal line across the page. And basically, I'm going to put here a nice little comment with my dashes. And I'm just going to put here, runs a horizontal line across the page, or table or cell. Later on, we'll talk about tables and cells, and you're going to see what they are. And basically, the name of this little HR is called a horizontal rule. Okay, so this little HR is a horizontal rule, and basically you're going to notice that you create nice little dividers in between elements. From there, I'm gonna create something that are very useful in HTML, and those are basically our headings. Okay, so headings are important, and basically there are 6 levels of headings that are useful for the web. And you probably heard some of the ones that I'm going to put in here. There's only 6 of them, so let's go in H1, and I'm going to put here heading 1, and you're going to notice automatically pop this little guy on top. And I'm just going to copy and paste this, guys, because there's 6 of them, and it's basically Control C, Control V to paste, and this is going to be my heading 2. And you're going to notice how the larger the number, the smaller your text starts to develop. So you can go all the way down to, I'm going 4, 4, and 4. So I'm just doing copy paste here, guys. Control C, Control V. 5, 5, and 5. And the last one, it will be my number 6. And just to give you an idea how would I use this, this will be kind of like a title of my page. We'll talk about headings. So I can even just apply a H1. And if you notice, whenever you're using Dreamweaver, it gives you the closing tag automatically and your content is outside. But a quick way to fix this is basically if you highlight it and you click and drag at the end, basically you can actually make that work. So basically headings, I'm going to give you here a nice little, you know what, we can put it in a paragraph so we can start utilizing some of our new HTML tags in here. And basically headings, text of elements, element is a section heading. Heading are number and displayed in order of decreasing importance. Headings are separate paragraphs. And let me put here, there are 6 levels. 6 levels of headings. And you notice this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Very useful little things here. Several other things I want to kind of go over. Let's say, for example, if you would like to create some bold text, right? Basically what we can do here, we can make this letter B, and if you notice, automatically gives me the closing tag of it, and I can automatically just close that as well. And there I have some nice little bold text down there. The same thing, let me do a BR here for a new break, and what I can do is I can do italic as well. Letter I, italic text, and there you have italic. You can also mix, let me hit the return key so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So you can mix both of them. Let's say, for example, let me create another BR here, so it can be in a new row, BR, and I'm going to put here, you can mix multiple HTML tags to stylize your page. I don't know, something into that. So let's say, for example, I would like to make HTML bold. So basically what I do, I just hit the B here and make sure that I wrap my HTML with those 2 tags, and you notice that it becomes bold in there. And I can say stylize your page. Let's say I want that to be italic, so I'm just gonna come here and I make that italic, grab this little guy, just drag it at the end of the page, and now that becomes italic as well. But if you want to use both of them at the same time, you want it to be bold and you want it to be italic. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make this italic. Make sure I drop mix within the italic, and then I need to wrap it with a bold, right? Bold being the strongest of all, and just gonna drop it in there, and it will be your bold italic in there. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can see the difference right here. You can mix multiple HTML tags to stylize your page. All right, guys, so that's basically where I'm gonna leave it for this tutorial, just so you guys have a hang on how you can create some basic elements and understanding how the basic HTML tags works within a page. So I hope this tutorial can help you out, and leave any comments, and thank you.